So, all right, Thang Thiện, go ahead, Thang Thiện.
Yeah. Namo fundamental Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher Sakamona Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher Sakamona Buddha. The unsurpassed, the profound, profound, subtle, wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million eons is difficult to encounter. Now I've come to receive and hold it within my sight and hearing. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning.
That's good. That's very good. Thank you. So today we will go to the new topic, and this is one of the important topics. And this is the way that we learn about the Bodhisattva, about the Bodhisattva path, and basically we will learn how to generate or develop our bodhicitta. This is they have the very clear picture and the clear process how to do this. And this Venerable Master goes Khaoshan, he walked us through very easy. And I also include some other Maha Sutra in here, so we learn as well. So let me give you the overview of what we're going to learn in the future. Okay, basically in here, right? We will. This is the. Oh, sorry. I should. You know what? Okay. Table of content. Table of content. Jimmy, can you take the link to your friend, Jimmy?
Okay, let me do. Okay, the link you text me and the text messages, thầy.
No. In the email, and in the phone. The phone. I text to you guys the link, right? Not to
yeah. I got the link in the email, but I need to look up his email address. Okay, let me do that right now. 1 second, please.
Well, thank you. So we will learn about the story of Shantideva Bodhisattva. We also learn about the introduction of the book, and this is the book that a guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life by Shantideva, or they call it Meaningful to Behold the Bodhisattva Way of Life. Okay? And the commentary comes from Venerable Geshe Khaoshan Chi Yancho Rinpoche. Basically, I use the framework from this Venerable Master, and I also use quite a lot of his commentary, and I expand and to elaborate into more in the way that we can learn in with the order Mahayana Sutra. That is the focus that we will go. Okay, so we also learn about. Okay, there are 4 different parts. The part number 1 is generation of the bodhicitta, where it has not exists. In here, there are 3 chapters, right? This is the first chapter. The chapter 1 is excellent and benefit of bodhicitta, and I will this is the summary of the chapter and what we learned. Also, the chapter number 2 is confession of negativity. That means when we create the karma, right? The bad karma, we want. The chapter number 3 is taking hold of bodhicitta mind, and we will learn all these things. Okay. But for each chapter, it will take a few months to complete. So it's okay. We have a long way to go. That's okay. And on the part number 2, how to prevent bodhicitta from weakening once it has been generated. So these 3 chapters here, it helps us to generate the bodhicitta. Once we generate it, these 3 chapters right here, it will help us to make sure that we don't fall back. We keep going, and we be able to have the strength bodhicitta. Okay, that is important. That's in chapter 4. We learn attaining the bodhicitta mind. Vivian introspection, and the perfect of the patient. Okay, so in here we will learn about this is the 6 parameter, right? So this is the parameter of patient. This is parameter of diligence. This is parameter of meditation. This is parameter of wisdom. And in the last chapter, they're talking about this is the parameter of morality. And in the last chapter, it's related to the parameter of given. This is where we will learn. Okay. So I will also show you the outline of each chapter, how we proceed, how we execute the study in the way that we go into. It's very okay. Let me show you. Okay, you see that. This is the chapter 1 about the benefit of bodhicitta, and the outline right here, you see that we break down into the structural outline so we can learn step by step, right? So, it's very structured. It's very structural. This framework comes from the book from this Venerable Master. I also use the same framework. So from here, so we have the framework to go. It's very interesting and very meaningful to learn in this way. Okay. So now we will go through each one of this. Okay, let me walk you through here. For example, we learn about in the preliminary explanation, we learn about the worship. We learn about the promise of the composition of this book. We learn about the reason for the composition of this book. We also, from here, when we learn about we will learn about the meaningful of the human life and why the human life becomes so precious, right? And down here, we will learn why that is so important, because this is the way that we can conquest all the great evil, and we can be able to attain the supply happiness and all these things here. And we will learn why the bodhicitta is so important, so why it's so benefit, and we will learn different value of the bodhicitta. Because the bodhicitta can be able to transform our inferior into supreme, can be able to the value of the precious bodhicitta so difficult to find, and we can learn about how to increase, because increasing when we practice the bodhicitta, this will help us to increase improvement that every lifetime when we come back, right? We rebirth, every rebirth lifetime, we will be able to remember it, and we be able to continue on our bodhisattva path. That's how we be able to generate the bodhicitta. Because the bodhicitta can help us to protect us from life to life. When we reborn into the evil world, like the world we are living right now, it's very tough to have protection So otherwise, we walk on the wrong path. The power of the protection from great fear and so on and so on, and easily destruction of great evil, right? That means the great karma that we have. Um, and we will learn the benefit of bodhicitta from the Buddha teaching, that means from the sutra, right? And so on and so on. And also now here, we will learn the 7 steps of cause and effect, how to develop bodhicitta one by one. Okay, this is important. Uh, um, okay, so on and so on. And basically, the actually the Shantideva, the Bodhisattva, he wrote entering into the Bodhisattva way, or a guide to the Bodhisattva way of life, and in the form of verse. This is the way it how it looks. This is only in 8th chapter meditation. Okay, so this is the verse that we will see. Each verse they have 4 lines, right? So and we will go to each one of this in during the explanation that we learn. We will digest all these things, and we will learn one by one to see what kind of teaching that the Bodhisattva then the Shantideva that teaches us how to generate the Bodhisattva. This is important. Yeah. And they have let me see. So they go to many chapters, and they come. I think it's more than few hundred verse. So that's a good thing. Okay, so all right. I hope I don't get lost. Did I lost you yet? Not yet. Okay, that's good.
I'm still here. That's very, very interesting topic that we're going to learn. So,
okay, that's good. Okay, now we go ahead and start from here. Okay. Now we will begin with the story of the Shantideva Bodhisattva. Okay, go ahead, William. Please. This will be a little bit long. I will let you read for maybe 1 page, and I will ask other people to do so. All right, go ahead, William.
I want to check. I have my computer running. Is it creating a lot of sound that people hear? Should I pause it?
What happened?
Can you guys hear a lot of funny sound coming through?
No, I do not.
Okay, awesome. All right. The author of the Bodhicharyavatara was the learned master and noble Bodhisattva Shantideva, who possessed in perfect measure the 3 qualifications necessary for the composing of Shastras. His life was marked by 7 extraordinary events. In particular, the fact he was accepted and blessed by his supreme Yidam deity, the Venerable Manjughosha. The 7 extraordinary events are listed as follows. He pleased his supreme Yidam deity, and at Nalanda did great deeds. He healed a conflict and accepted as disciples those of strange beliefs, as well as beggars, unbelievers, and a king. The great being Shantideva was born in the southern country of Saurashtra. He was the son of the king Kalyanavarman and went by the name of Shantivarman. From his youth, he was devoted to the Buddhas of earlier ages. And having a natural affinity for the Mahayana, he held the teachers of religion and the monastic order in great respect. He was a benefactor to all, masters and servants alike, and he cared tenderly for the lowly, the sick, and the destitute, with his heart fixed solely upon the ways of enlightenment. He became expert in every art and science. In particular, he requested the Tikshna Manjushri sadhana from a certain ascetic mendicant. He practiced this and beheld the Yidam deity. When at length his father, the king, died, it was decided that the royal power should be conferred on Shantivarman. The great throne made of precious substances was duly set in place. But in his dreams that night, the prince saw Manjughosha sitting on the very throne that he himself was to ascend the following day. Manjughosha spoke to him and said, "My dear and only son, this is my throne, and I, Manjushri, am your spiritual guide. It is not right that you and I should take an equal place and sit upon one seat." With that, Shantivarman woke up from his dream and understood that it would be wrong for him to assume the kingship. Feeling no desire for the great wealth of the realm, he departed and entered the glorious monastery of Nalanda, where he received ordination from Jinadeva, the chief of its 500 panditas, taking the name of Shantideva. Regarding his inner spiritual life, he received the teachings of the entire Triptaka, the 3 collections of the Buddha's teachings, from the noble Manjushri. He meditated on them and condensed their precious contents into 2 shastras: the digest of all disciplines, the Shikshasa Mukchaya, and the digest of the sutras, Sutra Sammuchaya. But though he gained boundless qualities of elimination and realization, the other monks knew nothing of this. And since to all outward appearances, his behavior seemed to be restricted to the activities of eating, sleeping, and strolling around, they gave him the nickname Busuku. Such was their estimate of his outward conduct. This man, they complained, performs none of the 3 duties required of the monks of this monastery. He has no right to enjoy the food and alms offered in religion to the Sangha. We must drive him away.
Okay, good. Stop right there. So just go ahead and quick summarize to what you just read.
Okay. So Shantideva was born the son of a king, and when the king died, it was decided that he would become the next king. But before the king died, Shantideva had taken on a practice that was given to him by a mendicant, so someone who devoted themselves to the spiritual life. And this particular practice was one to develop a connection with Manjushri. And certainly Shantideva in previous lives must have already had an affinity with Manjushri.
You know who is Manjushri?
Yeah, Manjushri is a bodhisattva. He's he has the flaming sword. Frequently he's depicted with that. He's also the one that Shariputra is speaking to in the 1st chapter of the Lotus Sutra.
Yeah.
And is sort of like the embodiment of wisdom, of like prajna wisdom.
Right. And what kind of animal he rode? He ride on he sit on what animal? Do you know?
I think it was a lion, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, lion. That's correct. Lion. Do you know why the lion is represent for that? The wisdom.
Oh, represents for the wisdom. No, I don't.
You know when the Buddha speak the Dhamma, right? It's just like the lion king rolling. When the lion king rolling, what happened to all the animal inside the forest?
They stop and listen to see where the lion is, I think.
No, they run away. What do you mean? What do you mean stop and listen? They run away, right? They're scared.
If they're, I would, yeah.
They scare and they run away. Now, what does that mean? It means that when the Buddha speak the Dhamma, that means the truth Dhamma, or the wrong teaching, or whoever the wrong teaching teacher will disappear, right? Even the demon, they will disappear. they dare not to be get nearby. Does it make sense? Because all the spiritual bodhisattva, all 10 directions come there, show the power of the Buddha teaching, and it's so become so strong. That's why all the demon and those things will disappear, just like the lion roaring, right? So that's important. Okay. Anyway, so sorry. Keep going.
Oh, so during my Shantideva's life, or Shanti Varman, before he became a monk, he was very generous to the Sangha, generous to the sick. He's just a virtuous person. But he had sought this teaching out from this mendicant, and in applying this practice, he had a vision of Manjushri, or here in Tibetan he's referred to as Manjugosha. And that after his father died, he had a dream with Manjushri that he interpreted as meaning that he shouldn't ascend the throne, but that he could enter the monastic life. And so he did it in Nalanda. He entered the monastery there, and because he wasn't outwardly showy with his acts, the other monks only saw him basically, eating, sleeping, pooping, walking around. So they gave him a demeaning nickname, which basically meant like eats and sleeps.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's really good. Really good.
Translation I read a little bit ago, they mentioned pooping too, so that's why I put.
Oh, you know about this story beforehand, huh?
Yeah, I've read through the verses and the introduction.
Okay, that's good. So you are quite familiar with this kind of teaching, right? That's good. So okay, that's good. All right, let Jimmy go ahead and read this. Continue on this thing. Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, sir. Their plan was to take turn to expound the scripture so that when Shantidevas turn came around, he would be embarrassed and run away. They repeatedly urged him to preach, but on each occasion he refused, saying that he did not know anything. So they asked the abbot to order him to preach. And when the abbot did so, Shantideva immediately promised to give a teaching. At this, a few of the monks began to have misgivings, not knowing what to think. In order to put him to the test, they arranged a great quantity of offerings on the ground outside the monastery. They invite a large congregations of people and set up an enormously high lion throne in the midst. Then they send for Shantideva, but most of the monks were thrown into confusion when they suddenly caught sight of him sitting high up on the throne, not knowing how he had managed to get there. Would you like me to recite some well-known teaching
of the Buddha?
Of the Buddha? Shantideva asked, or would you prefer something you have never heard before? Everyone was thunderstruck. Please tell us something completely new, they said. Now, the Shikshaka Muchaya is too long. But on the other hand, the Sutra Shamuchaya is too short. So Shantideva expound the Bodhichitta Vatara, which thought vast in meaning is quite brief. The noble Manjuri appeared, seated in the sky, and many of the people saw him and had great faith. Even more remarkable, when Shantideva came to the beginning of verse of the 9th chapter, when something and its non-existence both are absent, form before the mind, he and Manjuri began to rise higher and higher into sky until at last they disappeared. Shantideva's voice, however, continued to resound so that the transmission was completed. Those in the congregations who possessed extraordinary powers of memory wrote down the teaching as they have recalled it, but they produced texts and varying length, some of the 100 sentences.
700 stanza.
Yes, some of 1,000 and some of even more. The Banditas of Kashmir produced a text of 700 stanzas in 9 chapters, while those of Magadha, which is in central India, came up with the text of the 1,000 stanzas in 10 chapters.
Good, stop right here. Stop right here. So quickly summarize what we
Yes, the monks and the people in the monasteries just would like Shantidevas to bridge in them and give them Dharma lessons, but he kept refuse, and then they after that Manjushri show up in the sky, and then him and Shantidevas also somehow go higher and higher into the sky as well. So after that, they try to challenge him, but eventually both of them, Manjuri and Shantideva, disappear, and the voice is into the sky. So I don't understand, what does the stanzas mean?
which one? Stanzas? Which one?
Stanzas.
It means the verse. The verse. It's like the poem. The poem verse. Like this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me show you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me show you. If I understand correctly, this is what they call stanza. Right, William?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now I got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So in here at the beginning, right? They not really want him to preaching the teaching because they want to make him embarrassed, right? Because they think that he only sleep, eating, and so they asked him to do the preaching 3 times. He refused 3 times, and basically he asked a boat. A boat, that means the head of the monastery. And do you know the Nalanda? You know Nalanda? You know what is that monastery, William?
No, no.
You don't know Nalanda? It's a university, and that is a very famous Buddhist university in India at the I think it's 7th or 8th century, and this is the first university in the world. Yeah. And the university is mostly it's training the Buddhist monk, right? They this is the special training, and it's not easy to be accepted into this kind of monastery. That means they have to be very special. That just like the gifted talent, gifted talent monk be able to get in here, and that's why Shantideva he went here for learning, right, as well. So this monastery is destroyed during the time that I think it's the 12th century. I'm not too sure what century was that. When the Muslim they came in and they massacred the Buddhists during that time. And you know what? They burned this monastery. It lasts about 2 weeks in order to burn all the Buddhist sutra. Yeah, they destroy all the precious Buddhist sutra in this monastery. You don't know about this?
It does ring a bell. I think either yourself or Tikandat shared about this a little while ago, but I had forgotten.
Yeah, this is a very famous Nalanda University. So basically, they also set up the lion seat, right? It's very high, and want to challenge him that how he can be able to get there. In no time, he already reached there, and they don't even know how he be able to get there. And you know what? And he said that to them that. Okay, do you want to listen to something that already teaching or something totally new? And they said that they want to hear the new thing. So there are 3 different kind of teaching. The first one is too long, the second one is too short, and he picked the third one is Bodhichitta. That is brief but very profound meaning. This is the important. And that's what we are learning today, right? And when he about to expound recite this kind of sutra, right? Mansura Bodhisattva appeared and seated in the sky, and many people saw that, and they have the great faith in him. This is wonderful, right? So and he and Mansura began to rise higher and higher into the sky. At last, they disappear. And remember, when he recited from the beginning of the verse to beginning of the verse of the chapter 9, that means from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 8, and begin of the verse of the chapter 9, and they are both about rise until they disappear. What does chapter 9 mean? It means wisdom. And wisdom in Buddhism, it means the ultimate emptiness. Okay, ultimate emptiness. That's why both existent and non-existent, they both absent. That's what it means from before the mind. That means non-duality. Okay. So until even though they both disappear, but the voice of Shantideva is still be heard until the last transmission was completed. Right? This is important. And this is the extraordinary power. The people who there with the extraordinary power of memory, they be able to try to write down as much as they can to record all those teaching spoken by Shantideva Bodhisattva. This is very interesting, and of course, because they have many different versions. Okay, so that's okay. We will learn which one and what happened next. Tammy, read this one from here to it for me, please. Thank you.
Disagreement and uncertainty reigned. Moreover, they did not know the text that Shantideva was referring to when he mentioned that they could read the Shiksha as Mukha repeatedly and occasionally consult the shorter Sutra Samkuka. After a time, it was discovered that Shantideva was living in the south at the stupa of Shurdakamshan. Two of the Panditas who had supernormal powers of memory went to see him, intending to invite him back. But when they met him, it provided inconvenient for Shantideva to return. Nevertheless, in answer to the inquiries, he affirmed that the correct version corresponded to that the scholars of Magadha had produced. As far as the Shams Mukha and the Sutra Sasmukha, he said that they would find both texts written in a fine scholarly hand and hidden in the roof beam of his monastic cell.
Yeah.
At Nalanda, he then instructed the two. He then instructed the two Panditas, giving them explanations and transmission. Shantideva later traveled to the east, where through a demonstration of miraculous power, he resolved a serious conflict, creating agreement and happiness between the contending parties. He also accepted as his disciples a group of 500 people living not very far to the west of Magadha, who were holders of strange non-Buddhist beliefs. There had been a great natural disaster, and the people were tormented by famine. They told Shantideva that if he could save their lives, they would respect his teachings. The master took his begging bowl filled with cooked rice, received an alms, and blessing it with profound concentration, fed and satisfied them all. Turning them from their unclothed superstitions, he introduced them to the Buddha's doctrine. Sometime afterward, in the course of another terrible famine, he restored to life and health at least 1,000 beggars who were emancipated and dying of starvation.
Okay, good. Okay, let's see. How much this still about? Go ahead and summarize what we.
There was disagreements about which teaching was the correct teaching. So they went and found him, and he told them which one was correct, and that they would find the text where they could find the text that he had written and hidden. And then he traveled on where he found people that were non-believers, and he was able to help them feed and clothe them so that they in turn became believers.
Okay, so that's good. And he also saved them from the great natural disaster that means become famine, right? By using the medical power. And also in here, he demonstrates a lot of medical miraculous power to resolve the serious conflict between different parties, right? So, due to his virtue, remember, if the one who do not, okay, let me ask this question here. William, what do you think? If we only have the spiritual power, but we do not have the virtue, can you be able to use the spiritual power to resolve the dispute party?
No.
Why not?
Because we'll have our own self-interest at heart. We'll have our own bias.
Mm.
And we won't be able to find the equal ground between parties because we won't see things clearly. So it'll cause some sort of, the conflict will continue in some way.
Yeah, that means because they still have the self, right? They attach to self, and they still have a lot of problem when they don't find the common ground. That's correct. That's very true. Okay. All right, Thang Theng, you read from here for me, please. Thank you.
Later, Shantideva became a bodyguard of the king of Avivishana, who was threatened by Achala in the east. Meditation upon himself was as inseparable from Manjushasha, who took a wooden sword with its scabbard and imbued it with such tremendous power of Dharma that so on he was able to subdue any and every onslaught. He brought about such harmony that he became the object of universal respect. Some people were, however, intensely jealous of him and protested to the king. "This man is an impostor," they cried. "We demand an inquiry. How could he possibly have defended you? He has no weapon other than a wooden sword." The king was moved to anger, and the weapons were examined one by one. When Shantideva was ordered to take out his sword, he replied that it would be wrong to do so, since it would injure the king. "Even if it harms me," said the king, "take it out." Going off with him to a solitary place, Shantideva requested the king to cover one of his eyes with his hand and to look with the other. With that, the sword was drawn, and its brightness was so intense that the king's eyes shot from his brow and fell to the ground. He and his escort were overcome with terror and begged Shantideva for forgiveness, asking him for a refuge. Shantideva placed the eye back into its socket, and through his blessings, the king's sight was painlessly restored. The whole country was inspired with faith and embraced the Dharma. Later on, Shantideva went to Suripavata in the south. There he took to the life of the naked Chashma beggars and sustained himself on the water thrown away after the washing of dishes and cooking pots. It happened that Kachanga, a servant woman of King Shantideva, once saw that if any of the washing water splashed on Shantideva as she was pouring it out, it was as if it had fallen on the red hot iron. It would boil and hiss. Now at the time, a Hindu teacher called Shantideva appealed to the king and issued the following challenge. He said that he would draw the mandala of Mahasbala in the sky, and that if the Buddhist teachers were able to destroy it, then all Buddhist images and writing should be consigned to the flame and everyone glad to accept the tenets of his religion.
Okay, good. Stop right there. Thank you. Let me make a quick minor fix here. What happened? What's going on? Able. Okay. Okay, go ahead and summarize what you said there. Thank you.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is saying that so later Shantideva became the bodyguard of the king Visavana, and so he was threatened by Manchala. So what he do is he meditate himself, and he took a wooden sword and with a scabbard and a bow, and with a tremendous power of the Dharma. So he was able to subdue any and every onslaught.
Mm.
So people saw him and they became jealous of him. They came to the king. They want to know that he is an imposter. So they want to know why the king defended him. So the king moved to anger, and they want to examine the sword one by one. So he took out his sword and so the king said, just tell him to take it off. So I'm not quite sure.
Sure. So basically, in here, right? He became the bodyguard of the king, right? And because he always wear the wooden sword, and there were the king courtier, right? That means I think it's very close to the king. He jealous to him, and therefore he want to and he told the king that the Shantideva he always carry with him the wooden sword. How could he be able to protect you, majestic, right? And therefore the king also moved by this saying, and that's one he want to examine one by one of the weapon, and and went to the turn when the turn to Shantideva, and the king asked him that he want to see the sword, right? So he want him to take out sword from that, and he said that it will ensure you, the king, right? And he said that it's the even if it harm me, it's okay to take it out. So he took him. He told the king that went to the solitary place that where he want to do it. But before he do it, he asked the king to cover one eye with one hand, and the other hand where he can use the other eye to see. And when the soul came out, because the light of the soul becomes so strong, and the eye of the king dropped out from the socket, right? So, and the king feels so painfully, and you know what? And he used his power to pick up the eye and put back into the king's socket, and with very painless, that means no pain. And that's why the whole country become very inspired on this thing and embrace his Dhamma. That's the important. Uh, uh, Okay, later on, the Shantideva attempt to install, they took the life to the negative. Okay, so there were another non-Buddhist master teacher, right, Hindu. He wanted to challenge the Buddhists, right? So he told the king that he going to draw the mandala on the sky, and he challenged that if any Buddhist teacher can be able to destroy it. Then all the image of the writing could be, oh, okay, wait, unable, that is more correct. I will fix it. Unable to destroy it, then all the Buddhist image and those things will be inflamed, right? And he want to do that. So basically, did you read this thing already? I'm not too sure you read this thing already. Did you read this thing already?
No. I stopped by his
Oh, okay, that's good. We stop right here. I think today we have enough for this. We will continue on next week, but before that, we will. I want to do the mantra, right? It's a long time we haven't done that. Let's stop right here. Okay. All right. William, go ahead and do this thing for me, please. Thank you.
May everyone, our minds as one, bringing light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and light. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise.
Good, thank you. All right, let we do the mantra together. I guess we haven't done it for a while.